Good evening, Dhamma friends. We are going to start this evening Sutta study class. I would like to welcome you first with the wholesome thoughts in mind. Then I would pay our due respect to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times in Pali and in English. Before that, I just want to mention the fact that this Sutta study class every Saturday is a great influence for all of us to investigate the Dhamma in discourses and make them simple to apply into our daily practices. No matter which subject we talk, they are all about morality, concentration, and wisdom. In other words, they are all about the Noble Eightfold Path. We want our practice to be perfect in a way so that we need the information, what the Buddha exactly said about this and that, so that we would definitely progress our practice. So this is the very important thing of this Sutta study class. So with that in mind, let's start this evening Sutta studies by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, friends. We begin our Sutta studies today with the Anapan Sutta, Sutta number 118 of Majjhima Nikaya. This is the third discussion of this wonderful discourse, fourth one. We spent 4 weeks to come to the end of the discourse. Today, our focus is how 7 factors for enlightenment develops through Anapanasati. 7 factors of enlightenment or for enlightenment. Satta Bojjhanga has been in the peak of the training. When we take the Noble Eightfold Path as the direct path, as the wholesome path for all the kusala, 7 factors for enlightenment stand on top of everything. Because when you practice the Noble Eightfold Path, the 7 factors for enlightenment come into existence as a result of the middle path practice, making you closer to Nirvana. So that is how we understand the 7 factors for enlightenment, Satta Bojjhanga. Do we have the same teaching in the Anapanasati about the 7 factors for enlightenment? And why do Buddha and Arahants and all enlightened beings give priority or huge emphasis on 7 factors for enlightenment? Have we understood the 7 factors for enlightenment in our experience, and what has to be done to feel the 7 factors of enlightenment in our training, and how we begin it? Have we already begun the 7 factors of enlightenment? These are some of the highlighting questions in our that we should have in our mind in order to bring the perfect teachings of the Buddha about the 7 factors of enlightenment. You understood the way the Anapan develops from the very beginning, and you discuss about the way the four foundation of mindfulness come into existence through Anapanasati. And today we are going to know how 7 factors of enlightenment are developed on the basis of four foundation of mindfulness. Let me start reading the Sutta passages so that you have the knowledge about the Sutta on 7 factors for enlightenment. How bhikkhus do the four foundation of mindfulness develops and cultivated, and fulfill the 7 enlightenment factors. Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world, on that occasion, unremitting mindfulness is established in him. On whatever occasion, unremitting mindfulness is established in a bhikkhu, on that occasion, the mindfulness enlightenment factor is aroused in him and he develops it, and by developing it comes to fulfillment in him. So that is the first paragraph of the 7 enlightenment factors of the Anapanasati Sutta. I assume that you all know the 7 factors of enlightenment. If not, let me, if somebody is unaware of them, let me name them first so that we all can go easily on this discussion. In Pali, we have Sati, Dhamma, Virya, Piti, Passaddhi, Samadhi, Upekka. These are the 7 bojjhangas. Mindfulness factor of mindfulness enlightenment factor, investigation enlightenment factor, then perseverance or virya enlightenment factor, then rapture enlightenment factor, then we have tranquility enlightenment factor, after that samadhi or concentration enlightenment factor, and finally we have upekka or equanimity enlightenment factor. These 7 factors about enlightenment or of enlightenment or for enlightenment has a sequential order. Do you see any difference here when it compares to the other set of teaching? For example, for Noble Eightfold Path. In Noble Eightfold Path, mindfulness is the 7th one, just before the Samadhi factor, Samadhi noble quality. And where is wisdom? Where is Samadhi? It is the first one of the Noble Eightfold Path. But when we comes to Satta Bojjhanga, we have mindfulness first, and then we have investigation factor as the second one, then the virya or Samma Vayama of the Noble Eightfold Path comes with a different name called virya here as the third one. I just want to make the emphasize that the 7 enlightenment factors have been named like this, how have been put into order like this because of the experiential part, because of the empirical nature of it. I don't say that the Noble Eightfold Path does not have it, but when we comes to 7 enlightenment factors, we more see the order in line with the practice. Of course, we need wisdom to practice the mindfulness. Without wisdom, without samadhi, we know the fact that nothing could be done in the training. However, think about when you practice meditation, what exactly you do is training your mindfulness. Training sati is the key for gaining samadhi, so that you try your best to be mindful of the breath, mindful of any other subject of meditation you take, so that you are sure that you can gain kind of tranquility and peaceful state of mind, which allows you to embrace more Dhamma. So first and foremost, you are going to cultivate sati in any meditation subject. In behind that, we know samadhi is playing a big role for mindfulness to develop in such a way. But in order to mention the 7 factors for enlightenment, we have to start placing those 7 factors, and mindfulness come first, because practically it is the first thing you practice. Then we have Dhamma Vichaya. The very word, Pali word Dhamma, is all phenomena, especially kusala here, that allows us to feel the nirvana. So Vichaya means Vinishchaya in Pali, Paryeshana in Pali, or when it comes to our understanding, it is investigation, exploring the knowledge, whatever the things we observe. So you are here putting your whole effort to see things as they are, Dhamma Vichaya, Dharma Vinishchaya. So this is equal to samadhi of the Noble Eightfold Path, and this is equal to Panya Indriya and Panya Bala of the 5 Indriya or Pancha Bala, 5 faculties, spiritual faculties, and this also equals to Vimansa of the 4 Iddhipada. So this quality, Dhamma Vichaya, has been everywhere like sati, because it is a fundamental quality. If you remember the Maha Chattarisa Sutta, the Buddha clears the doubt about all of us that 3 qualities of the Noble Eightfold Path come together as a force to develop all the qualities. What are them? Sammaditthi, right understanding, and Samma Vayama, right effort, and Samma Sati, right mindfulness. So that we can see the importance of the 3 factors of enlightenment here: mindfulness, investigation, and virya or perseverance comes to the first 3 places of the enlightenment factors, because they provide the background for someone to have piti, passaddhi, and then samadhi and upekka. So we need to see the significance of the order first, in order to understand the subtleties of the each enlightenment factors. So that is not in the sutta, but we have to understand that. So now we want to understand how breathing meditation, Anapanasati, clears the path for 7 enlightenment factors. If you remember how things unfold from the very beginning, we have 16 factors or limbs of Anapanasati. We see how 16 put into 4 tetra, and we saw how 4 foundation of mindfulness develops there in that training. Now when you establish on 4 foundation of mindfulness, Satara Satipatthana, you can see the seed of 7 enlightenment factors. As I told you, this is really important. I just brought some ideas last week about the 4 foundation of mindfulness, for us to understand the concept well. Like that, I just want to give you some doctrinal interpretation to 7 enlightenment factors. Let me get that. There is a particular discourse in Samyutta Nikaya called Samyutta Nikaya called Bodhi Sutta. There, Venerable Sariputta explained us. No, first I just want to share with you the commentarial work. Awakening factors are factors of awakening, factors of awakened one. Bodhi, Bodhiya, Bodhisava, Aggati, Bodhyanga. So this is defined as factors of someone who attain to enlightenment. And the very interesting definition here is that Bodhaya Sangvattatita Bojjanga, which means they bring about awakening, they bring about enlightenment. This is why they are called awakening factors or Bodhyanga. So when you have, why do we call Bodhyanga 7 factors of enlightenment? Because they bring about enlightenment, they bring about awakening. How does a person bring about the awakening factors or awakening? A monk cultivates the awakening factors for mindfulness that is dependent on solitude, dependent on fading away of lust, dependent on cessation, ripening in letting go of. So this is how one begins the cultivation of the first enlightenment factor. There should be some good qualities. You know, some people might think that, oh, mindfulness here is simple as the beginning state of Anapan, Satya or Satipatthana. No, friends. When it comes to the awakening factor of Sati, there is some depth on that. That's because we use the word Bodhyanga. Bodhyanga, factor of awakening. When mindfulness is developed into such state, it is huge, it is solid. That's why we have Viveka Nisritang, Viraga Nisritang, Nirodha Nisritang, Vassagga Parinami. Dependent on solitude, dependent on fading away of lust, dependent on cessation, and depending on letting go of. That is the basis for someone to practice mindfulness. In other words, according to my understanding, the first factor, first enlightenment factor, Sati, should be developed as a enlightenment factor or awakening factor with solitude, with the understanding of viraga, fading away of lust, and cessation, nirodha, and also patinisagga, total letting go of. Some sort of such qualities must present in our mind in order to have this enlightenment factor in us called mindfulness. This is quite similar to the other 6 factors as well. So do you see that therefore the mindfulness, investigation, virya, rapture, tranquility, samadhi, concentration, and upekka are not simple practices here. They have some depth. That's why they are called Bodhyanga. Just after these 7, we have Vijja Vimukti, and Vijja Vimukti are the 2 characteristics of Nibbana. So that they are not just simple mindfulness. For example, we can argue that somebody who has no any experience of mindfulness training come and sit and meditate on Anapanasati. We never call him practicing 7 mindfulness factor of enlightenment. He just practiced Anapanasati. He just tried to develop his mindfulness on the basis of Anapanasati or Satipatthana, but not the factor, enlightenment factor of mindfulness, because you have some background, you have some qualities developed already in order to come to this level. That's what I wanted to emphasize by taking some suttas from Samyutta Nikaya. That is the definition. They bring about in awakening or enlightenment. That's why they are called Bodhyanga. Okay, when we comes to the 37 factors for enlightenment, you see this with Noble Eightfold Path together. When we name them, so that also shows how important these 7, in the training. We come to know about the 7 factors for enlightenment because of 2 important discourses from the Haritha chanting books, right? So that's how we come to know about. But when we comes to the section where Bodhyanga are explained clearly, we see that that is one of the important aspect of the Dhamma that everybody should know. How to cultivate 7 enlightenment factors. There are many discourses, and each places we can see that the 5 hindrances are some of the important thing to focus just to begin the practicing of 7 factors of enlightenment. 5 hindrances are sensual pleasures, ill will, and sleepiness and drowsiness, and then restlessness and worry, and finally we have skeptical doubts. When you have 5 hindrances, that is the disturbance. We have not to develop 7 enlightenment factors. When you deal with the 5 hindrances as it should be, you develop the 7 factor enlightenment factors. That is how Ahara Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya says. Now you might be confusing why this statement is again here, because with 5 hindrances we of course develop 4 foundation of mindfulness as well, because if you take any subject of meditation of the 4 foundation of mindfulness, you deal with the 5 hindrances and bring your mind into samadhi. Yes, of course, but when one clearly sees the 7 factors for enlightenment in his mind, there you have always dealing with the 5 hindrances too, because until you come to the full enlightenment called arahantship, you might have at some attacks of 5 hindrances. There you always pay attention to 7 enlightenment factors in order to overcome them. There are such things in the training. So that is about 7 factors for enlightenment. I gave those information just to understand what it is. So now we come to the Anapanasati Sutta again. Whenever the person abides in contemplating the body as the body with all Dhamma factors, their unremitting mindfulness is established in him. What is the meaning of unremitting mindfulness? Unremitting mindfulness means the mindfulness that is undisturbed by anything. So earlier when you practice Anapanasati or Satipatthana, your mind is easily disturbed by some external objects. The 5 hindrances might trigger with small things. But when you comes to Bodhyanga level, 7 enlightenment factors level, your mindfulness has been taken a very solid foundation, has reached to solid status. So unremitting mindfulness. I think we can feel them when you continuously meditate and up to the level of Noble Eightfold Path, or you can see this unremitting mindfulness. Your mind doesn't go anywhere. Whatever you focus, your mind is there. No matter how, no matter mundane things you do. For example, those meditators, those practitioners who understand the 7 enlightenment factors, go to the kitchen and start cooking. They are mindful about all these regular routine activities too. And they are cleaning the ground and they are washing clothes. Their mindfulness is there always without type of effort, because your mindfulness has been developed into such states. That's why it is always there without much effort. With less effort, you can bring your mind into those enlightened qualities. So when mindfulness come to such a maturity, it is easy for you to take it. So if your mindfulness come to such a mature state, it is called bodhyanga. So that's what we have. So now, having practiced the kaya anupassana of the satipatthana, you have some experience so that you are fully mindful about your physical body and any aspect of your physical body, including the breath. So unremitting mindfulness is established there. So on whatever occasion unremitting mindfulness is established in a bhikkhu, on that occasion the mindfulness enlightened factor is aroused in him and he develops it, and by developing it comes to fulfillment in him. So you first recognize mindfulness is strong, then you take it into maturity, and then you fulfill it as it should be. So we can see the 3 stages of each factor of enlightenment. You recognize the enlightenment factor, then you work on to bring it to maturity, then fulfillment of the particular enlightenment factor. So we can see this, but we don't see these 3 levels of development of sati when we discuss the mindfulness based on satipatthana, based on other teachings, but only in 7 factors of for enlightenment. This is very important. Abiding thus mindful, he investigates and examines that state with wisdom and embarks upon a full inquiry into it. On whatever occasion, abiding thus mindful, a bhikkhu investigates and examines that state with wisdom and embarks upon a full inquiry into it. On that occasion, the investigation of state's enlightenment factor is aroused in him and he develops it, and by development, it comes to fulfillment in him. So now we are in the second awakening factor, Dhamma Vichaya. So having established unremitting, unbroken, very solid mindfulness, you have a background, you have a kind of solid state of your mind to investigate and examine with wisdom. It is a full inquiry into whatever you focus. Of course, here, nothing else but the 5 aggregates of clinging. That is the whole thing that the individuals take into their investigation. So with unremitting mindfulness, you have that essence in your mind. Of course, at this moment, your wisdom faculty has been also developing with mindfulness into a certain extent, so that investigation in a deeper sense is being done by the individual. So he examined the 5 aggregates of clinging. Where do these 5 aggregates of clinging? It is of his own mind. Right, so full examination is being done there on these important factors. bhikkhu investigate and examine that state with wisdom and embarks upon a full inquiry into it. On that occasion, investigation of state's enlightenment factor is aroused in him. So, when you examine and investigate, excuse me, you recognize the virya bojjanga there. You recognize that it has been coming in, so that you work on how to get into peak of it, so that you fulfill. Do you see that if you want to go into the highest level of samadhi or dhamma vichaya or panya indriya, you have to have unbroken status of mindfulness. Mindfulness with broken status would not work. In other words, suppose your mindfulness, you are mindful now, but in a minute it is gone, and again you take it. So you keep it for 3 minutes, and then again it's broken. So this kind of mindfulness never helps you to investigate higher subtle aspect of mind and body, because you have to have such a unbroken, unremitting mindfulness to practice Dhamma Vichaya in the 7 enlightenment factors. Because don't forget, they are in Bodhyanga, very close to Nirvana. So your mindfulness should be unbroken and it is solid. So based on that, investigation factor is being started, and now reached to maturity, and slowly fulfillment of it come into existence. In one who investigate and examine that state with wisdom and embarks upon a full inquiry into it, tireless energy is aroused. On whatever occasion tireless energy is aroused in a bhikkhu who investigate and examine that state with wisdom and embarks upon a full inquiry into it, on that occasion the energy enlightenment factor is aroused in him, and he develops it, and by development it comes to fulfillment in him. So what I want to emphasize is that the links between these three, you can see that that link of the factors, enlightenment factors in other for other 4 states as well. But first with these 3, so you have to practice the first one in order to begin the practice of the second one, and then with the second one and the first one, you have the practice of the third one. Remember the statement of the Buddha in the Mahachattarya Sutta. What is that? The Samadhi, right view, Samma Vayama, right effort, and Samma Sati, right mindfulness, work together as a force to develop all the spiritual qualities. So it works here. Mindfulness should be there to have a clear mind for investigation faculty to come in, and bring about all the important energies, so that 3 enlightenment factors work as a team. So this, because of these 3, what exactly we get, that is the very important thing. When you sit for meditation, check whether you have mindfulness, and also that examining quality of your mind, and then whether you have that energy to hold mindfulness, and also examining quality in your mind without any lapse, without any shortcomings. A lot of people complain about meditation and bringing their mind into meditation. They may say that, Bhante, it goes everywhere. Sometimes it is here, sometimes it goes. That is because of lack of that energy, virya. So when we comes to Bodhyanga level, they are well trained, and you can play with, you can keep them as you want. So all the three qualities work together and you see it in your mind. Therefore, in one who has aroused energy, unworthy, unworldly, which means supramundane, rapture arises. On whatever occasion unworldly rapture arises in a bhikkhu who has aroused energy, tireless energy, on that occasion, the rapture enlightenment factor is aroused in him and he develops it. And by developing it, it comes to fulfillment in him. So, as a result of mindfulness, investigation, and tireless energy present together, what we feel is a feeling very nice sense of experience. That is called rapture, piti bojjanga. In jhanic experiences, we have piti. When there is no hindrances, we have piti. Piti is a happy mind. Piti is a joyful mind. Piti is gladdening our mind, right? So it is a kind of very interesting quality of our mind. So now we have it with the development of sati and also Dhamma and virya, mindfulness, investigation, and also virya have been developed into a certain extent. Therefore, as a result, we have rapture. So you see that happiness, rapture in mind, and you see you work on it further to develop it, and then you fulfill it. So this is how you reach to age enlightenment factor, stages by stages. It's a gradual training. As the Sutta says, it's gradual. And then in one who is rapturous, the body and the mind becomes tranquil. On whatever occasion the body and the mind become tranquil in a bhikkhu who is rapturous, on that occasion, the tranquility factor, enlightenment factor is aroused in him, and he develops it, and by developing it comes to fulfillment in him. So in experience, we can feel them. That is why I always emphasize the fact that you would be able to see what exactly you have in your mind during meditation. For example, your focus is the breath as the karmasthana. Once you reach to a certain calm level, you see whether you have virya there as a faculty. You investigate your mind to see whether you have Dhamma Vicaya is there. You can see whether I have rapture there, that piti is there. Then now tranquility. Tranquility is a state of mind and body where you feel no disturbance at all. Let me tell you this example. Suppose you take a baby into your hand like this. So baby is crying now. Baby doesn't want to stay still like this. So he or she is starting crying. Now you make the baby like this. Now baby stop crying and start smiling, because baby feel that physical sensation that the body is relaxed and your mind also happy. And when you drive down on a hill, you feel that joy, that kind of physical sensation. You feel that you are floating down from the top of the hill to the down, so that you have. And when you go on a roller coaster, so you comes down immediately. So you don't feel that bodily sensation anymore. And if you take it as well, you feel joy there, because your body, you don't feel your body. These are some of the examples to understand what kind of things we have when the body is tranquilized. Suppose you are in a cradle, so somebody come and give a push, you move like this, so you feel that physical sensation, which is really interesting. So that kind of things happen to our physical body, and of course mind, when tranquility factor or for enlightenment arises. So when there is tranquility, no disturbances at all, you feel your body very light, no pain at all, and then your mind is also very, very calm and peaceful. It has been, I'm not saying sleeping state, but with regard to the mundane, difficult state of mind, it has been coming out of it and still stand there still. So tranquility of body and mind is really important. We have to develop this. Of course, I know that you have this kind of experiences in mundane life. For example, you went for a walk. It's a hot day, so it's sweating and you are tired. So after a few minutes of walk, you got into the shower and have a very nice bath. So you dry your body and come to the kitchen and eat and drink something, and you go to the best cushion couch you use and sit there. What kind of feeling you have now? It's relaxing, right? So you have given enough exercise to your body, and then that warm feelings of the body has gone because of the cool bath, and your stomach is full with drinks and food you ate. Now you are sitting on the best cushion couch, putting your hands like this, and you are so relaxing. So tranquility is such a feeling. Actually, the tranquility in the factors, enlightenment factors, is much more than what I said. But the example is quite enough to understand what kind of physical and mental relaxation are there with the tranquility enlightenment factor. So you again see it's coming, and you work hard to make it mature, and fulfillment is also being done. Don't forget that this training start with the Anapanasati. Based on Anapanasati, you experience them. During Anapanasati meditation, you have these experiences. It's in this showing that you cannot have all these four foundation of mindfulness, 7 enlightenment factors, if you, with 1 hour meditation, right? You have to meditate over and over again. Sometime 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 10 days, 15 days retreats provide you some experiences like this. Or you practice Anapanasati every day, and you work hard to investigate and examine what exactly Anapanasati, and then with all these effort, you might experience it even 1 hour Anapanasati meditation. So those experience meditation that do not take much longer to see the 7 factors of enlightenment, right? So we are here with tranquility, passaddhi, very Pali word passaddhi. So now you see, in one whose body is tranquil and who feels pleasure, the mind becomes concentrated. So with piti, you have a state of mind where there is no hindrances at all, and it is solid, and then your mind and body have also reciprocate, and there is such a gorgeous feeling. Now your mind is deepening its state of concentration. Well, actually, with the rising of piti and tranquility, you have already started the samadhi qualities. Of course, piti and tranquility are samadhi qualities or keys for samadhi. So with the development of these two, you have samadhi, but now you see the seed of samadhi very well, clearly, with the next, so that you comes to maturity of it, and fulfillment of the whole practice of samadhi is there as well. Let me read that part. In one whose body is tranquil and who feels pleasure, sukha, the mind becomes concentrated. On whatever occasion, the mind becomes concentrated in a bhikkhu whose body is tranquil and who feels pleasure. On that occasion, the concentration enlightenment factor is aroused in him, and he develops it, and by development, it comes to fulfillment in him. Samadhi is a result of clear investigation and also maturity of mindfulness and virya. So when the three enlightenment factors work together, so your mind embraces only the piti and also tranquility. So with the rising of piti and tranquility, definitely there is the signs of samadhi, concentration. He closely looks on with equanimity at the mind, thus concentrated. So with the concentration, samahitang chittang yatha bhutam pajanati. Elsewhere in the Tripitaka, we have this statement of the Buddha about what we have to do with the samadhi. When the mind is concentrated, what the individual has to do is, putting his mind into solid state with wisdom. Actually, samma ditti is equals to dhamma vichaya, but upekka is beyond that level. If you see the samma jnana, samma vimukti of the Noble Eightfold Path, of course, they are not not in the Noble Eightfold Path. When the Noble Eightfold Path are being practiced to the highest level, the one who attains to arahantship, has these samma jnana, right liberation, and also right, samma jnana, right knowledge, and right liberation, samma vimukti. So upekka lies in such a level. So right, unremitting mindfulness and investigation factor and virya is there. So piti, rapture, and tranquility is there. And samadhi has been developed in a very subtle way and a very profound way, so that equanimity is there, which is the balanced state of mind. So you are not responding to anyone, anything with attachment, no hatred at all. Of course, we don't need to talk about those things because they have been gone away from your mind at the very beginning of the Anapanasati training. But when it comes to Upekka, in that level, your mind has been associating emptiness, sunyata, and all the highest qualities in highest level. Because on whatever occasion, he closely look at on with equanimity at the mind, thus concentrated. On whatever occasion a bhikkhu closely looks on with equanimity at the mind, thus concentrated. On that occasion, the equanimity enlightenment factor is aroused in him, and he develops it, and by development, it comes to fulfillment in him. So the last one of the seven factor enlightenment factors is upekka. With upekka, there is nothing unwholesomeness, nothing wrong with anything. Everything is perfect. If you remember the Mangala Sutta statement, Asokang Virajang Kemang Etang Mangala Muttama. So when you have that quality called upekka, you are not worried about anything. Astaloka Dhamma, usually mundane, experiences shattered and shed and disturbed with anything happen, either unhappy things or happy things, make people change a lot. In other words, when you phrase When you are praised by somebody, you like it. When you gain something, you attach to it. Suppose somebody talk about something negative about it, you become angry with it. So we respond to things in the mundane world according to that. But those who have developed equanimity or upekka never respond to anything pleasant or unpleasant in that way to create some sort of uh, uh, you know uh, what do you call flow of craving, or they do not respond to anything in the mundane sense. Here we see Upekka has such background, and the when it comes to the seventh one, gradually your practice has been fulfilled a lot. We can see that from the statement of the Buddha after this Upekka enlightenment factor. Bhikkhus, on whatever occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating, contemplating feeling, and then mind, and also Dhamma. So we took only, I don't know whether you clear about it, we took only the first foundation of mindfulness of the Satipatthana just to see the 7 factors of enlightenment. Let me repeat it again. Kayanupassana and Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, is the basis for practicing 7 enlightenment factor. At the very beginning of the section, we said, bhikkhus, whenever occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body. So we took only the first foundation, Kayanupassana, and when you practice Kayanupassana, you practice mindfulness as an enlightened awakening factor and investigation, and then Virya, Piti, Passaddi, Samadhi, Upekka. If you take more prominently the feeling section of the Satipatthana, mindfulness on feeling, Vedananupassana, you also develop 7 factors of enlightenment. It does not mean that you have to come to the each foundation of mindfulness one after the other to develop all 7 factors of enlightenment. With the first foundation, you can go to 7, and if maturity comes of the 7 enlightenment factors, that is it. But in order to explain the every procedures, Buddha said here that because on on whatever occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating feeling as feeling, ardent, fully aware, mindful, having put away covetousness, grief for the world, there you practice all the 7 factors for enlightenment. On whatever occasion a bhikkhu abides contemplating mind as mind, there also you take the flight to the 7 factors for enlightenment. On whatever occasion you take the you abide contemplating, practice the 7 factors for enlightenment too, because this is how the 4 foundation of mindfulness develop and cultivate and fulfill the 7 enlightenment factors. So you see that 4 foundation of mindfulness should be practiced just to enter into 7 factors for enlightenment, and then and there you come to maturity of 7 factors for enlightenment. And how bhikkhus do the 7 factors, 7 enlightenment factors developed and cultivated, fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. In other words, which way we bring the Vijja and Vimutti, knowledge and deliverance, on the basis of 7 enlightenment factors. Here, bhikkhu develops develops the mindfulness enlightenment factor, which is supported by seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and ripens in relinquishment. Viveka Nisitang, Viraga Nisitang, Nirodha Nisitang, Vosagga Parinami. So you take the mindfulness enlightenment factor on the basis of seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and letting go of. With that mindfulness, you see these important qualities of your mind. Then he develops the investigation factor. So on the basis of solitude, dispassion, cessation, and letting go of, you develop not only the unremitting mindfulness, but other 6 factors, enlightenment factors. As a result, because dispassion and the right knowledge and deliverance takes place. We don't have many information in the Sutta about them, but as a Dhamma fact, we come to know from other suttas that when the maturity of 7 factors for enlightenment come into existence, you feel that the right knowledge, perfect knowledge about everything has been, and then you shift yourself into vimukti. Vimukti is you feel that you are moving from all the mundane experiences to supramundane experience, because this is how the 7 factors, 7 enlightenment factors develop and cultivated, fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. This is what the Blessed One said. The bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's word. So that is the end of the Anapanasati Sutta. So now do you see how significant Anapanasati? I'm sure that the last sections of the Anapanasati is not easily understood, because the level of understanding of 7 factors for enlightenment would be much less, because they are very close to nirvana. If you are not in that state, you might get some theoretical understanding, but not with experience. But anyhow, keep them in mind, that how we understand 7 factors for enlightenment and which way we develop them. You will come to that state practically when you continue your practice. What I want to say is, do you see how Anapanasati begins and how we end it? So it is a very full, complete training. So Buddha himself said that this is the meditation I did during my Bodhisattva period to come to the level of the Buddhahood. Actually, on the full moon day, he attained full enlightenment. Practice Anapanasati to bring his mind into Samadhi, and then experience the 3 knowledges. So therefore, this is not a simple meditation. It brings everything together, so that we need to work hard on Anapanasati, if that is the meditation subject you feel most. Now I allow you to speak, because you have a great knowledge about Anapanasati and also 7 factors for enlightenment, and it shows how you understand the discourse as well. So take your time. Anyone who wish to talk? Relatively, the discussion about 7 factors for enlightenment in Anapanasati, or out of that context, is not that easy, because there are qualities of Arahant. Of course, Arahant has been gone beyond that, but if you look at the Arahant's mind, you can see these qualities quite often. Yes. Your mic is muted.
Okay, I just want to add, when you look at the 7 factors for enlightenment on a superficial level, sometimes some person might wonder, there are 2 paths. This is another path for enlightenment, but there is only one path. There's a Noble Eightfold Path. So the 7 factors of enlightenment should fit into the Noble Eightfold Path somewhere. So from what I see, maybe I'm wrong, but it's the expansion of Samma, like right mindfulness and right concentration together. For example, why I say that is when you look at the first three factors of the factors for enlightenment, that is equal to Atapi Sampajano Satima. So establish mindfulness, you have to have those three factors. For example, Sati is Satima, Atapi is effort, Sampajano is investigation of the Dhamma. So those are three equivalent two factors. Then the last four are jhana factors, pretty much first, second, and third, and fourth, ending in Upekka. So pretty much that's why it can lead to Sammanyana, Sama Vimukti at the end. So Buddha's what the development of Anapanasati or mindfulness of breathing, what will it lead to? Lead to seven factors of enlightenment. So what development of seven factors of enlightenment, what will that lead to? To Samanyana, Sama Vimukti. So I think it makes sense in a way. It's just like an expansion of those two factors put together, but otherwise Buddha won't talk about another path for enlightenment, another, but it's just that the same thing. It's just an expansion, like it's more detailed version, I believe. Maybe that's my understanding.
I think yes, there is everything is okay. What you said is true. People might be confused of where Noble Eightfold Path in this development, because everybody has to go and practice Noble Eightfold Path. That's how many people understand the training. Yeah, what you said is true, and I agree with everything, every word you said. We see that Atapi Sampajano Satima Vinaya Loke in the with the four foundation of mindfulness, and these three equals to the first Bojjhanga, and then so you see the real connection. And where is Noble Eightfold Path? Of course, when we focus Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Vacha, Samma Kamanta, Samma Ajiva has have been completed well before Samadhi, Sammavayam, and Samma Sati comes and develops concentration. So in order for someone to meditate or develop his or her mind to bring mindfulness, investigation factor, and also virya into a certain level where you see the enlightened qualities, you have to come to the samadhi level. So look at the seven factors of for enlightenment. You see, sati, dhammavicaya, and virya. There directly you have samadhi factor. Piti and rapture could be included in the samadhi category because they are factors of samadhi. So in the Noble Eightfold Path, forget about the sila section. The other two sections are clear about wisdom and also samadhi. So I think, as you said, as you suggested to see, between the four foundation of mindfulness and seven factors for enlightenment, we can see the signs of Noble Eightfold Path there. Most importantly, the samadhi section as well as wisdom section of the Noble Eightfold Path. So that is being developed in line with the seven factors for enlightenment. Samma Jnana, Samma Vimukti as the ninth and 10th quality of the 10 factors of Arahant is equal to Vijja Vimukti right after the seven factors for enlightenment. So let me say it again. Samma Jnana and Samma Vimukti are the 9th and 10th qualities of Arahant. So when one reached to Arahant state with the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, you added two more qualities. Because you have gone beyond the Noble Eightfold Path, then you have Samma Jnana and Samma Vimukti. Dasangehi Angehi Samannagato Arahati Uchchati. So at the time you attain full enlightenment, you have Samma Jnana and Samma Vimukti. So that is these two qualities are equal to Vijja Vimukti right after the 7 factors of enlightenment. So what I am trying to show is that the enlightenment noble eightfold path are hidden in the 7 factors for enlightenment in that training. So that's why Vijja Vimukti is there to bring the one to nirvana. So yeah, I think I when I read it for the first time many years ago, I was looking for Noble Eightfold Path, and it is being included indirectly here. So that should be understood with our experience as well as understanding. Anything else about it, or anything else about something of the discussion? I know that this is very subtle. There must be a theoretical understanding for us. Of course, some of you might experience those things, but the difficulty is conceptualizing them, bringing them into explanation would be much difficult. But with such explanation, we can see the signs of enlightenment factors.
Bhante, that Sutra talk about, I mean, if there's no one else waiting, so I'll just give the jhanas you talk about, 1, 2, 3, 4 last time. I think there was a beautiful metaphors with the first of all, they say it's like the first one is like making soap, like powder put together to get the whole thing suffused in the very equally, just like when you are in the first hour, maybe you can the whole body experience pretty much. So spreading, like making dough, pretty much make sure the water and the flour mix equally everywhere. So that's first metaphor. The second one, Buddha talks about a lake filled with like a fountain, cool, like sunlight rapture, like it comes and fills the whole lake. The third one is tranquility, like a lotus, like buds floating, like in a tranquil, like tranquility, which you talk about today. Tranquility, like feeling of like lightness, and just floating around in the water, that cool water, the suffused everywhere, like touching everywhere of the lotus. The last one is the equanimity, is like somebody covered with a white cloth. Like it's a beautiful. I thought it is sometimes useful even when you're meditating to bring those metaphors up. Like just to imagine. What do you think of that idea?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Actually, when we discuss about jhana, we have to take these metaphors from the Buddha to understand what it is. Even before someone attain to jhana, it is useful them to get what jhana is, because when we discuss about the jhana, people do not get the full scope of it because they are not experience of them. But so that I think that fits a lot for the discussion. So yeah, what is the first one? You are with the soap. You suppose you put the soap into a tub and full the water, and with all the foam, you are there. You get into it. So everywhere in your body, the soap and with water is mixed with, and there is no place of your body that is not gotten wet. Like that, when you attain to the first jhana, your whole body is responding to it, and it's relaxed and calm, and everywhere and anywhere in the body, if you look at it, you feel that relaxation, that tranquility. Piti has been well before it and together sometime. So tranquility is always there. I think each jhana is explained by the Buddha with such metaphors just to give the impression what kind of things jhana are. I think when we discuss the jhana as a separate topics, we can get these metaphors and other similes Buddha talks about. I think everybody should try to attain practice jhana, because that is the basis for express training on noble qualities. Without jhana, we can do something, but there may be many shortcomings. Simply, when your mind is tranquilized and concentrated well, the better overview is there always. Investigation could be done as anicca dukkha anatta in a strong way when the mind is concentrated. So everyone should think to develop jhana as a preparations for the last flight. So I think that is really interesting. So we'll take your concern and discuss jhana as a separate session, because samadhi bhavana and jhana section in Samyutta Nikaya is rich so much with examples and analogies, metaphors, stories, so that we will discuss that in the future. That is, thank you very much for your additions to discussion. So we'll take it later.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah. So if there is no one at, for the discussion, I would end today's Sutta session, because we'll have poem programmed tomorrow from morning. I will engage with some other activities tonight with related to poem program as well as other Dhamma session. So I think no one is coming with any idea or any comments. So anyway, we spend 4 weeks, which means 1 month, to understand Anapanasati with details, stages by stages, how Anapanasati should be developed according to Buddha's instruction were discussed. And if you get a point in your mind that I should investigate this Anapanasati in this way, that is the outcome of this discussion. And if you happen to think that I should read this discourse fully on my own, that is also good, because you see how significant this Anapanasati Karmasthana. At last, I can see Janaki has raised her hand. Are you going to say something?
It's about just 2 very short questions, just requiring very short answers. The concentration. So concentration is something that we have to use effort, put effort to achieve something. But in meditation, is it really concentration or focusing? What should be the best word to be used?
Samadhi is achieved when we focus our attention to meditation subject initially. Suppose you tie your attention to the breathing, and then the mind gets disciplined, saying that, oh, I should stay here with the breathing. As a result of it, mind gets used to stay with the breathing, and then concentration means, samadhi means being able to be with the meditation subject, and of course see other mental qualities, so that samadhi is achieved when you focus Samadhi factors. So what are the Samadhi factors? Mindfulness and also right effort, along with wisdom, along with Samadhi. If I talk about Samadhi on the noble in the noble eightfold path, Samadhi, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati should come together just to bring Samadhi as a quality, as a full form, Samadhi, concentration. So in a practical sense, we cannot have Samadhi at the very beginning of the meditation. That's why we focus the breath. If For example, arahants or those who have developed all the qualities into such state could get it easily, quickly. They do not want to spend much time to look at the breath and then stay there longer just to get it. They could get it in the first couple of seconds because they have that essence, that practice. But one has to stay on the samadhi, limbs of samadhi for longer period, for a considerable time period, just to develop it, right? So that's how we see the samadhi. Samadhi is an outcome, right? So in order to get it, you have to focus the samadhi factors. Then samadhi parikkara. In samadhi parikkara sutta, by the Buddha clearly mentioned that all the 7 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path should be practiced to get the last one of the Noble Eightfold Path, samadhi, samma samadhi.
So
Did
then, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then the other thing is that now this Sattva-bodhanga, the 7 steps to awakening, so it automatically takes place when you are doing satipatthana, or the 4 focuses of introspection. Because now, for an example, Dhamma Vijaya, it's the analysis of thought, isn't it? So that too takes place within satipatthana. So when somebody is doing satipatthana, so all these 7 factors should occur, or I think they take place. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Is
if
that
you
correct?
practice the 4 foundation of mindfulness fully, there you don't worry about the 7 factors for enlightenment. You see them coming.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Right. You see them present there. So you then you have to understand, recognize these are the closer experiences of nirvana, because the one who practice the 4 foundation of mindfulness as they should be, he makes sense that
Yes.
he's going to attain nirvana. He's going to have these 7 factors for enlightenment. So he see these qualities there.
Yes.
Yeah, if we rightly verbalize the procedure, yes, if you want to experience the 7 factors for enlightenment, practice the 4 foundation of mindfulness. And when you practice 4 foundation of mindfulness, you have already put the Noble Eightfold Path practice into greater extent as well. So as we discuss the 7 factors for enlightenment and the Noble Eightfold Path develop in line with. Yeah, indeed, what you said is okay and up to the Dhamma. So if you, without practicing those basic requirements, the 4 foundation of mindfulness, for foundation of mindfulness, there is no any opportunity to practice the 7 factors for enlightenment.
Yes, thank you, Bhante.
All right, it's
yes,
9:20 now. Sorry?
Thank you very much, Bhante. I understood.
Okay.
Yes,
You're
thank
welcome.
You very much.
Okay, we come to the end of today's Sutta studies. I thank you for participating in the discussion. Those who comments and added some Dhamma into the discussion appreciated, and those who listen to the discussion silently also are appreciated. And we'll be seeing you next week with a different discourse. And if you are really interested on some discourses, depending on what you investigate, we would take them into our discussion as well. So keep that in mind. But what I think is linking discourse one after the other. We took this Anapanasati discourse into our discussion because of the links we had with the previous discussion. Now we have Anapanasati, finish it. So I think of something related to this one. so that we, of course, discuss the related Dhamma facts every week. Maybe this Sutta discussion would be difficult. Maybe we discuss something, some Dhamma factors that we never experience at all, but don't worry, because you somehow want to get this knowledge and theoretical understanding about them, no matter how difficult they are. So what we experience from this discussion is to get to know Dhamma facts. Okay, with that, I just finished today's session. Thank you very much for participating and contributing the discussion. By the power of this, develop, may you all attain full enlightenment sooner than expected. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bante.
You're welcome.